Now joining us via Zoom is Edward Karewe. He's a member of the Agric Workers Union on the back of the ban of grains by government. Edward, thank you so much for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Edward, so we have information that you are kicking against government's attempts to ban the exportation of grains to, secure our food provision in the country. Why?
Let me say good afternoon to all of you, and then thank you for this great opportunity. It's not the case that we are against a ban of exports to other countries, but we are drawing government's attention to the fact that when you make a ban, you have to make sure that the ban is respected and then it is effective. But if you look at our previous bans that we made, and then looking at the way our country's borders are porous, my understanding of it being porous means that we are unable to police it. You recall that under the Planting for Food and Jobs phase 1, we imported a lot of fertilizers to support that program. A large quantity of it has been smuggled out to the extent that it became public knowledge, and comments were made by the Ministry of Agriculture that even animals were then participating in the smuggling of the inputs, particular fertilizers, outside the country.
Right.
And donkeys in particular. So again, you can just see that in recent times, there is information about how cocoa is being smuggled out of this country everywhere. So if you are saying you are going to ban the exportation of grains outside this country, then we want to see how government is going to do that to make it effective. But we don't want a situation whereby we make comments, we make statements, and we don't live by them.
So you're saying that if government is, ensuring the ban of exports, it should also ensure the ban on smuggling of agri products from the country.
How do you enforce the ban? The ban means that any attempt after the ban to send out food is smuggling.
Right.
It is illegal. It becomes unlawful. And I'm saying that there are already unlawful acts that are going on to the dissatisfaction of all of us, and then creating a lot of loss to all of us. We are now wondering whether on this particular moment, government has suddenly become so to speak, competent enough to ensure that our borders are no more porous. You recall that this particular expression that our borders are porous, they are porous, has been there. If they are porous, it means that we are unable to police them.
Yeah.
That is all that it means. So again, government must assure all of us that this time round, they now have the men and the women to ensure that the ban becomes effective. Otherwise, we will say this, and at the close of the day, it will not only be the grain that is produced in this country, but even the grain that we are going to source from the international market through importation and then through support from development partners could even be smuggled out of the country.
How serious is this drought in the northern part of the country, and how could it or can it affect the country's food provision or food security?
Well, let me give you a very global picture about what is happening there. If you take when you talk about the northern part, you are talking about the coverage area of the drought. It extended to Brunhafel regions, northern Volta, and then you now look at the entire northern regions. The effect on the crops in each region is not the same. Some regions, for instance, if you come to the Bunu part of it, because they are closer to the southern part, the effect may be less than that of the northern regions. So, but it has covered a wide range of areas. And when it comes to grain in this country, the northern part of the country, including the BA, and then the northern Volta, constitute the largest. I mean, they produce 2/3 of our grain needs in this country. So if you have your the area, I mean the people who produce 2/3 of your grain go through this, then it means we'll end up having very less grain within the country by way of production. And let me also add that we shouldn't think that it is only the drought that is affecting the agricultural production in the north. As before the drought, we were on our way to even having low agricultural output this year in 2024, based on the fact that cost of production was high. Two, the farmers did not also have support, or government did not invest much in agriculture. Now, what we are also about to experience, we just hope that it doesn't happen. We have just experienced a Bagri Dam. So some of the crops that have survived the drought are likely to now be affected by the Bagri Dam spillage.
Right.
That will mean it will add to our woes. Then the final one is that from now until September 15 to 20th, we are expected heavy rains. We just pray that those rains are not so much to cause flooding. But if they cause flooding, then it means the situation will be more than just only what the drought has caused for us. So we should be looking at it more holistically. And then we know what to do to address the issue.
Edward, can you hold on there? Let's go into the phone lines. The president for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Owusu-Nortey, has joined me. Bismarck, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I'm the executive director, not the national president.
Okay, the executive director for Peasant Farmers Association Ghana.
Yes, please.
Right. Okay. Right. So, will you agree that what we face today is only as a result of climate change? If not, why?
Well, partly so. Partly so, because you cannot underestimate or
the effect of climate change.
Exactly. So partly so. And partly not so, because this is not new information for us as a country. For decades, we have all known that the climate will not be the same as we used to know it.
Right.
And if you go across the globe, and even within the continent, you see that several countries have taken steps to mitigate the effects of climate change. You know, one of the easier things to do, if you ask me, is to see how you can irrigate your country as much as possible once you are a green economy. And the forecast we have and the knowledge we have shows that if we had done much of the irrigation work, I'm not sure we'll be where we are today. If you look at the kind of investment we have done in our so-called irrigation programs and policies, our 1B, the so-called investments in Palubu and all those things we've done, if you look at the amount of money we've spent and the fact that just 2 months of no rain can put us in this situation, then it shows you that the kind of wrong investment you made as a country.
So I asked you about the climate change because for annually we keep hearing from political leaders who are leading our policies about the weather pattern and the weather change. So when it rains and there's flooding, they blame it on the flooding. When there's droughts, they blame it on the drought and refer to climate change and all that. But all the measures that we've put in place to at least make use of rains when they come in, and also make use of irrigation purpose dams when the drought actually hits us, I am not able to reconcile. So maybe you on the ground and on the farms are able to tell us exactly what's happening when it comes to your farming activities and how our policies are impacting negatively or positively?
Yeah, so that's the point we've been making from day one. You see, we all know that Ghana as a country, we are heavily dependent on rain for our farming activities. And one interesting thing about this conversation is that we also have an agency, that's the Ghana Metro Agency, that also assists in providing periodic forecasts to enable us plan ahead of time. My understanding is that for this particular planting season, they actually forecasted that there might be dry spells in the country, especially the northern part of the country. And even the ministry had information on that.
Right.
So the question that you even ask is, what did they do with that information when they had it?
Yeah.
They actually sat down and hoped that it will not get worse. And it caught everyone by surprise. Because if you had information ahead of time, the best you could have done is to take steps to reduce the impact. But we sat down and waited until the destruction is so large, and now we are now coming back with policies or measures to mitigate it. So in terms of, for me, I don't think Ghana as a country, when we pride ourselves with regards to our cultural development, we actually walk the talk. We are only interested in shipping out money to where it's not important, or we ship it at the wrong way.
So how about the ban on the exports of grain?
Yes, we understand the urgency of the situation. So we know that government will take on board measures to mitigate the impact. So in principle, it is not even bad to issue a ban. However, doing the ban in isolation of other factors is what is the problem.
Right.
And our major problem with the ban is that this is not the first time the ministry has issued a ban on the export of grains. We remember this was done for soya, for maize some years ago, and the results were very bad for the farmers. Because for a produce like soya, you see that the local capacity of the buyers was very low. So you have farmers who have produced so much soya, and there was a ban on it, they couldn't export it, and the local people couldn't buy, and the farmers ran at a loss. The following year, farmers had to reduce their production of soya. We saw that for maize too. So for this year, if you're also announcing a ban, we hope that you will kick in measures to protect the farmers from having potential price reduction. When you do that, it means that the farmers will not be motivated.
Yeah.
That if they have their produce, they will sell them within the country. There will be no farmer who will try to sidestep this directive and try to export.
Right.
But if you don't do that, then you are creating a situation where farmers will now try to beat the system because they know that maybe the prices that will be offered locally will not be enough to meet their cost of production. So what we advise or we suggest is that in announcing this ban, the government can announce a minimum price guarantee that if you're a farmer, you have 50 kg of maize, the government is going to buy at 300 cedis or 450 cedis. If you are a rice farmer, you are willing to sell, this is the price.
Right.
If the government itself cannot do the buying, they can contract other people, other aggregators, other produce buying people to do that at an agreed price.
Right.
When the farmer knows that the price is a certain price that is able to cover their cost of production, there will be no incentive for us to impose the ban, or no incentive for them to bring soldiers across the border because no one before to do that.
Bismarck, thank you. Bismarck Owusu Norte is the Executive Director for the Peasant Farmers Association. Mr. Kariwa, let me wrap up with you. So with his final comments, he says that, well, then set a price reduction minimum for the farmers to also benefit from whatever they have to distribute to the country.
I think that is a good call. And then again, Excel says that we should not just make policies and allow the factors of demand and supply to try to correct the system. if you leave it that way, some people will suffer unjustly.
Right.
Because our demand and supply mechanisms are not the perfect one that we have read from textbooks.